Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, another Tyranid Learning Curve video for you, and today we're looking at the Biovores brood from the heavy support slot. So this little brood can come between 1 and 3 models in each brood, and each model is 40 points each. So whole unit 120 points. There are no upgrades or options, so that's your base. Stat wise, their weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3, their strength and toughness 4. They have 3 wounds, initiative 2, 2 attacks, their leadership 6, and they have a 4+ save. Now it's probably fair to say that most of those stats are irrelevant really. The reason why I say that is because these guys basically work by using the spore mine launcher, which is a barrage weapon. So obviously limiting to terrain. On the whole, generally you're going to have these guys hidden from view. So yes, okay, they've got 3 wounds, but they're the toughness 4. So like your warriors, for example, they're very vulnerable to instant death, but they should be hidden enough that that's not really a problem. The spore mine cluster, let's quickly talk about that. We've already done the spores in one of the other videos, but effectively it's a 48-inch gun, strength 4, AP 4, 1 attack, large blast and barrage. Now when you hit, it goes off, and when you miss, you place D3 spore mines down on the table underneath the blast, anywhere underneath the blast, and making sure obviously the usual restrictions apply, 1 inch from another unit, etc. But yeah, once they're down, you then can start moving them. They move 3 inches in the movement phase, and then you do have the option to charge or to run if you want to at half the dice roll. And then once you finally get into contact, or someone assaults you, not that they would, then you get that strength 4 large blast, and you get +1 strength for each mine in the cluster. So arguably with 3 mines it's going to be strength 6. Not arguably, it is. And that's ignore cover as well with AP 4. So pretty decent little anti-infantry blast weapon. I'm not going to go into too much on how to use that. Go and check out the spore mine cluster video if you want to find out more about what I say there. The key thing that I want to talk about is the actual Biovores themselves, and what we need to do to make them work. So these guys are not a synapse creature, and they're pretty low leadership. They're leadership 6. So their main issue is synapse, basically, because you're going to be hiding them, like I said. You're going to be at the back ranks. Potentially you're going to be way at the back where your other Tyranid forces are going to be charging forward. So they may easily be out of synapse range. And yes, okay, it's a little cheap unit, 120 points if you've got 3 of them, and you know, if they can't shoot a couple of turns, well, okay, but they do lurk, which means on a 1, 2 or 3 on the dice roll, you're going to be running, and you're going to be running, falling back basically. So there's a good chance of falling back off the table, especially if you're right at the back. So synapse is a problem, and then the other results, if you don't roll that, basically means they're not going to be able to shoot. So it is an issue for them. Now you could invest the points and maybe put a Tyranid Prime with them, allowing them to shoot all the time. But again, it makes the unit a bit more expensive. So you do have to consider synapse. Arguably maybe you've got a synapse creature at the back, maybe a Tervigon or something, which is going to be there within range, and if that's all happening and hunky-dory, then great. But it's just something to bear in mind, and something which I've come across in the past. I've taken, I'll have some Biovores, cool, they're great. Place them, on the flank behind a building, and then it's like, they're out of synapse range, and then they went the whole game pretty much shooting nothing, and in the end ran off the board. So it is just something to bear in mind as such. Now, the other thing with the Biovore is that it's in the heavy support slot. Now, you've seen my previous video on the Carnifex, how great that unit is. We've got some more awesome units coming up, the Trigon, the Morlock. There's many great units in the heavy support slot. And that may be the undoing of the Biovore in many cases, in that there's just so many other great units that you can take. They definitely have a place in the Tyranid army. They're great anti-infantry unit. They're great, nice long-range anti-infantry unit. But we do have a lot of other anti-infantry options. So they're not the be and end all units, but they are a lot better than they were, and they're a pretty decent choice. You certainly, you know, if you took Biovores, then no one's going to say that's a bad choice. You know, they are a good choice. So, I think that's what I've got to say on them. As I said, good choice. Just watch out for the Synapse range, unless you're really good at rolling low leadership. Okay, that's it for me in this video. Watch out for the next one. And as always, thanks for watching.